Hello, Grant McLoughlin, ASC. We're actually at the Petroleum Club in Dallas. This is I believe, one of the highest buildings in the city. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's about 39 story.
Pretty high. We're on the 38th, 39th?
Yes, we're on 39 right
Now, this good-looking gentleman here, you believe it or not, he's how old are you, mate? Put it on the spot here.
I don't know. Can't remember that right now.
Age isn't important anyway, is it?
I know I'm over 60 because I got 54 years of tax seasons behind me. So,
And this is Pat. Do you want to say hello quickly?
hello, how do you do? Glad to enjoy the day with everybody.
It's been lovely, isn't it?
Your country, it's just spectacular weather today.
It is.
Was it
was
yesterday?
a bit nippy yesterday, wasn't it?
Cold yesterday. Yeah, unusual for Dallas.
Yeah. Now this is the Petroleum Club. Dylan was
Right.
saying to me earlier on that not anyone can just come in and have lunch.
No, it's a private club, so
Yeah.
you have to be a member.
And how do you become a member?
You have to be nominated by 6 people that are already in the industry. So you have to be in the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
So, I'm in the industry. So.
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been a member at the club for?
I've been coming here since the 60s. So with the membership, this recent membership is not too old, actually, just a year or two.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
This is Pat Berry from Dallas, Texas. We're at the Dallas Petroleum Club right now having a nice lunch, and we were basically talking about the general structure when you make investments into the oil and gas business. So a lot of our clients use an entity called an LLC, or a limited liability company. What that does, it allows you a lot of flexibility in the way you structure your investments, because from an LLC you can then elect to be like what we call a sole proprietorship, or you could possibly even have a partnership or a regular corporation, all from one entity. So once your LLC is set up, then from then you can make elections. We call them check the box elections each year on how you want your taxes structured. So that's basically what it is. That's why a lot of our clients use LLCs for these investments.
Or for the Australian investors you're
Yes,
talking about?
for Australian investors.
There's quite a few tax incentives, aren't there, for Australian investors
Yes.
investing in oil and gas in the States?
Yes, there are. There's deductions and incentives on both the money you put into it and the money you get out of it. So your investments going in are very favorably tax deducted. So a lot of the expenses that you pay are for things such as intangible drilling costs, for depreciation expense on equipment that you put on a well, any kind of salaries and wages that you pay in drilling a well. All these are currently deductible. And then certain costs are amortizable over a 2-year period of time. But the point is, of the money that you put into it, probably half of it approximately may be deductible the first year.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it may be deductible over the next few years. So eventually everything that you put into it, you should get a tax deduction for. So the second part of this is your income when it comes back into you is favorably taxed then, because you get what's called a depletion allowance. You can get either cost depletion, or you can get what's called statutory depletion and deduct 15% of the gross oil and gas sales as a depletion item on your tax return. So this effectively can shelter as much as 50% of what you're actually collecting, the way that the numbers work out.
Yeah.
So your depletion rate can be very favorable. So that's basically the tax rules. If you're in the oil and gas business, you want to make sure that you're allowed to take all these deductions if you need them. In some cases, we don't want to be in a limited partnership. We may want to be in an entity that doesn't limit our liability. So in some cases, some people can make straight investments from Australia straight into the entity, not limit their liability in any way, and if that case, they can even take more deductions. So it depends on what they want to do.
Yeah.
So every case we have to analyze everybody's case individually, because they're all a little bit different.
So basically, let's say, for example, we've got someone from Australia who says, yeah, I'm investing in oil and gas with ASC. you'll be able to sit down with them virtually, or like on the phone, or through maybe like a conference call, and be able to speak to them and find out what structure is best for them to get maximum tax advantages.
Yeah, not just that. Find out what their goals are.
Yeah.
So that's important too. We want to find out: are they going to leave money in the United States for future investments, future oil and gas investments, or whatever? Are they going to take it back, or so? Where are they, or what are their intentions in the long run?
Yeah, and we're talking before there, Pat, about the treaty between America and Australia. So if you're paying tax in the States, then you're not having to pay tax when you bring your money over to Australia.
Right. There's a treaty among the United States and Australia that you're not going to pay double taxes. Is the point? You're going to be able to tax it in one country or the other. And
why did the American government give such great tax incentives for oil and gas? Because if I'm owning a share in an oil and gas company, I don't get the deduction. But if I'm investing in a company that's doing the the actual exploration and production of that, then I get the deduction. So why is the government doing that?
Well, if you invest in Exxon, for example, good company, nothing wrong with them. That's a huge corporation, and these big companies don't do the small oil and gas wells like most of the small operators do. Most of the discoveries of the new wells are by smaller.
They are, I found that out today with Sid.
Oh, yeah. So Congress, ever since the beginning of the income tax code in 1913, has had a big incentive to encourage people in this country to explore for oil and gas.
Yeah.
And so there's no better way to encourage people than by giving them good tax incentives. So it's almost like a subsidy. But some of the costs, like some of the depreciation items, may be deductible over 7 years. Some of the geological and geophysical costs are deductible over 24 months. So some of these expenses are not fully deductible the first year.
Yeah.
But they would be over a few years. So that when your income comes back, it's usually not taxed to you until you're in year 3 or 4, somewhere down there.
Really?
And then even then, like I said, when the income comes back, you start getting depletion allowances on that. So it's sheltered on the coming back to you side.
Yeah. So you've been a CPA for how many years?
I just completed my 54th tax season.
Jeez.
It's 5-4.
I won't ask your age then. You've obviously started at a very young age.
I was 6. No.
But it sounds like you need an accountant who specialises in the oil and gas industry.
It doesn't hurt. It is a complicated accounting and tax method. It's pretty complicated. Like Adriana's been doing oil and gas work ever since she's been on board with us. That's over 5 years now,
6 years now.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the laws change all the time, so you got to stay on top of it. But our CPA firm specializes in oil and gas.
Yeah.
Not the only thing we do. We have regular clients that have regular businesses, but
predominantly the oil and gas industry.
Primarily, oil and gas is what we do internationally and locally for Texas too. So and the partners make investments in oil and gas too. So we know it from both the accounting and tax side and from actually drilling wells ourselves. So I've run drilling funds, and I've done I've even owned drilling rigs before, believe it or not. Anyway, we've got a lot of diversified experience. My partner, for example, is an accredited petroleum accountant, and that's
And that's Fabian.
Yeah, it's Fabian, and it's really hard to get that. The examination he had to take was harder than the CPA exam. It's like 8 parts to it, and so anyway, he knows a lot of. We complement each other. I know a lot of the aspects of from the practical side of it, and he's very good at the theory. And Adriana knows everything. So
they call you clever clogs in the UK. No, at all.
So we have other accountants in our office. Our combined experience in the office would be probably hundreds of years altogether. It would be, So we've got. It's an interesting field for all of us.
So just as a last question for some investors like yourself, they've come out and made the big trip. Some of our clients and the future investors might not be able to come out. But I just want to give them the sort of the peace of mind to know that you're very well experienced in this industry. You're going to be able to give them the same service, even though we're across the pond, as it were.
Yeah, but love to do that, and we are doing that now. So
you're looking after ASE Investor Partners as we speak.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it, and hope to meet a lot of your Aussie friends. So.
Thank you very much, Pat.